I love it when the music starts in the middle of the theme.
Oh, yeah, that's fun.
Because I didn't reset everything properly.
That's okay.
It's
I'm still putting my headset on.
It's really my favorite thing.
We're just starting the middle of the dancers do their thing.
That's right.
Right?
All of them. The
All
ones
of
in the
them.
street.
Look at that.
Now this is before the pandemic.
They are not social distancing.
She social distances naturally because who's going to go near that?
Well, good point. Yeah, that's
You
dangerous.
get your head whacked off. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I just realized one other thing I got to do real quick.
Uh-oh.
And that's to remind you that it is Musical Monday.
Ooh, and we have an amazing guest for you today.
As we always do.
We do.
Okay, let's let these yahoos stop singing.
Okay.
They're just a bunch of show-offs. They're like, hey, it's Musical Monday. Listen to us sing this over and over again. Tracy and I are looking at a new computer monitor today. You didn't need to know that, but you don't need to know half the stuff I tell you.
That is a good true statement.
But it wouldn't be the Bob Doyle show if I didn't start it with a bunch of
production meeting during the show.
Yes, and useless information to you.
But we love you and thank you for joining us anyway.
And you never know when it might come in handy.
Well, that's true.
We might have some sort of a pop quiz show one day.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
We probably won't.
No, definitely not.
Okay. Let's see who's hanging out in the chat room. I think some of this is from yesterday. I don't know. No, that's my mom right there in the middle.
Hi, Mom.
She and
Wait,
Lizzie.
Do we have,
oh my.
Oh, we don't have chat up. So
Well, we'll do that during the intro song.
Okay.
But hello, Jane, and hello, Amy. Happy Monday to all of you. Boy, oh boy.
Ooh, we have a treat.
So I want to say right up front, Tracy asked me, she sent me a link to our guest. And she said, possible Monday music? And I watched like 2 seconds of this. I'm going, absolutely. Because when you see this guy's setup and listen to the music, and I just want you to know that back in the day when I first started writing music, this would have been
a dream.
Like, I can't even.
Yes,
it's just like to see that is just, and the colors, and you'll see. You'll see.
Oh, just wait. So excited.
So it's no big secret because it's in the description of the show, and Tracy's been telling you about it for 24 hours that our guest is Jim Oliver.
Yes, my friend.
And if you enjoyed the healing music the other week from Charlotte Ember, you're going to love this today. So I invite you to get ready.
Right. Get comfortable. Grab a glass of water, your tea, whatever.
Whatever. We're not here to tell you what to grab.
Well, okay, we're not shooting on you,
right.
But just get cozy, and you're going to love Jim. And
I wanted just to remind people, just this, because this is the first week we're sort of officially doing it, because of just technology and how music and things are compressed when we do video conferencing, it doesn't do the musician justice when they play live like this, because it's all distorted and compressed, and it's just not great. So what we've decided to do is go to live interviews, which we're going to have right now with Jim in just a moment, and recordings of the performances, so that you really get to see and hear them in their best light. And I just think that's the way to do it. I didn't look.
Everybody thinks so.
I didn't need the applause, but I'll take it. So, ladies and gentlemen, in a moment we're going to meet Jim Oliver, but I want to introduce him to you by way of this piece of music. Get ready. That was abrupt on my
Wow.
part. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome in, man, Jim Oliver, the creator of that music.
Yay, Jim! Thank you so
I love
much.
the cheering squad. That's great. How are you guys doing? How's everybody today?
I hope everybody's good. We don't have time to get their answers individually, but we're going to assume that they're doing okay. Hey, look, before we even get started, two things. Number one, the audio of Jim is coming through Tracy's phone because of a technical hiccup, but the show must go on.
Yes.
I wanted to share the reaction from some of the group that's watching. Sounds like there's a chorus behind the music, heavenly, awesome music, surreal music. Could definitely listen to this all day. I'm sure you hear that a lot.
A lot.
It is extraordinary stuff, and I want to know everything.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, actually, wait, I should rephrase that.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
still trying to figure it out.
So first of all, man, oh man, that setup.
Oh,
Because, these days, I always used to want that, and now I've got one keyboard and a computer that is basically the software representation of, not all of that, but, that's the general idea is that it's mostly software. So, but you are old school.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, old school is a good word. Since I'm going to be 68 in a couple of months.
Oh my gosh,
Oh
no
my,
way.
no way.
Music keeps you young, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was sharing with Tracy yesterday. When I was about 3.5 years old, I was at my uncle's house, and he played organ and grand piano. He had an organ that he played bass pedals with his feet, and then left hand on the organ, and the right hand he played grand piano. So he was one of the first multi-keyboardists. And this sparkling gold energy came through the wall, over the instruments, and came into me, and my whole body shivered and shook and tingled. And I knew at that point, at about 3.5 years old, that music was going to be a significant part of my life. So I mercilessly bugged my parents to start piano lessons. At about age 4.5, I started piano.
Wow.
And I was one of those kids that just absolutely, no one had to tell me to practice. They had to actually come and drag me away from the piano to come eat and do other things.
Yeah, I wasn't quite like that when I was taking piano lessons. I was very resistant, but later when it was my idea to write, and very much
Sure.
like you, I got inspired by Jean-Michel Jarre. Right, I had heard the Equinox album, and I was like,
Wow.
this is it. This is it, and this is what I want to do. And so that really brought me into the whole wanting synthesizers. But back then, that was a long time ago. And so I started
Sure.
with we're just talking shop here, ladies and gentlemen. But I just started with the Korg M1, and that was like this huge revolution in keyboards back then.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
the sounds were so real, and it sounded like a saxophone. And then that's when I really started writing. But I always had visions of a setup like that, and live performance of all of that. So just it's really cool to
Yeah.
watch it.
Well, I'm a huge Korg fan. My first Korg is the O&W Pro, which is the successor to the M1, and then the Triton, which you can see
Yeah.
behind. It's the silvery one, and then just below that is the Kronos, which is unbelievable. So yes, I'm a big fan. It's all about the textures, the layers, the how you can express what you're hearing in your mind's ear, as it were,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
musically.
But
And how can you help in my world? How can you help people? I started piano at 5, went to conservatory when I was 14. Then I went to Julius Hart School of Music at 16, then Hart College of Music at 18, and was a classical organ major. I played big pipe organs. I'm looking to see if I have that picture real fast.
that was fun to see you work the pedals.
I played pipe organs for a long, long time, and that's what turned me on to this. As you can see, the multi-layers of keyboards
Yep.
is really an evolution from the pipe organ days of massive, big sounds, and with today's keyboards, synthesizers, and samplers, where you're actually playing from the keyboards, real flutes, cellos, choirs.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's absolutely phenomenal, and this is a lifelong. You can't see some of the stuff on the other side, but the Hammond B3 organ I bought when I was 14 years old.
A classic.
Mowing lawns, shoveling snow, and raking leaves. and I bought it with my own money in 1966 when I was 14.
Do you remember
And I
what you
still
paid?
have it.
Do you remember what you paid for it?
I paid $2,500 for it.
Wow. My
But you
grandfather.
know, I lived in a neighborhood that had a lot of retired people, so I had a dozen regular customers, and you know, a snow shoveling job was $4 or $5, but when you do 10 or 12 people, that's 50 or 60 bucks. And back in those days in Connecticut, it snowed at least 2 or 3 times a week. So put all the money, gave it to my mom. She put it in the bank and saved. And I bought the B3 with my own money.
Wow,
Wow.
that's a heck of an accomplishment.
And then in 10 years after that, when the lady that I bought it from said, when you play Vegas, I want you to remember me. And it was 10 years almost to the year, that the B3 was on stage at the Las Vegas Hilton with me playing when I was doing the whole Vegas thing. So I did a 180 after classical and went off and did Vegas and Tahoe. Was on the road for most of the 70s, 52 weeks a year, 7 days a week.
Oh my God.
I lived in hotels for 8.5 years.
We've heard similar stories from other guests too about that whole
Sure.
traveling
Yes.
lifestyle and things.
And I
It's
loved it.
so crazy. Yeah, my grandfather actually had a room in his house where he had one of those organs, and I can't recall what brand or anything like that, but that was such a piece of my childhood, was going to my grandparents and listening to him play, and oh
yeah.
my goodness, I loved it.
Yeah, we had an organ growing up before we had a piano too. My mom played this little. I mean, it was like I think my dad built it. It was like some sort of kit. I can almost Heath kit, I want to say. Anyway, it was like he built it,
He
but
did a lot of stuff.
yeah. So anyway, God, good times. I'd forgotten that I'd even had that thing.
That's
But anyway, so
Well,
at some point in some point in
Yeah.
your in some point in da-da-da-da-da.
I love the delays.
So at some point in your journey, though, you started getting interested in sort of the science behind some of the frequency stuff. We're about to play a couple of short videos that you sent us to share that sort of set that up a little bit.
Right.
So I want to do that, but is there anything that you would like to say to set up what you sent us to set up? Just to kind of maybe get us to how you even got interested in this in the first place.
Well, playing piano, and piano in the living room. My mom was a teacup fan, and I noticed certain notes that I'd play on the piano would make the teacups rattle. And other notes would make the screen door rattle, and other notes would make the painting on the wall rattle. And that was my first introduction to sympathetic vibration, sympathetic resonance, which I refer to as harmonic resonance. And then it's like, okay, well, that's interesting. So I'd play around with that. Fast forward, to early 1980s, 1981, 1982, and I was getting very involved with music for massage, meditation, transformational experience. My wife, Jan, was a massage therapist for almost 30 years. I did a lot of music for massage and got involved with how do people receive sound? How can I create music that is the most beneficial and supportive and nurturing and engaging? So I worked with a kinesiologist, oriental medical doctor, naturopath, and acupuncturist, and started looking at how specific frequencies and waveforms can be tested to see how they respond with the physical body, the parasympathetic nervous system, the energy fields. Everything is energy. So how can I refine that? And with synthesizers, you can get a pure sine wave, which is like a flute sound. You get a pure sawtooth wave, which is like a brass sound. You can get a pure square wave, which is a woodwind sound. And you can test. Oh, you test middle C with a sine wave, it goes strong. You test it with a square wave, it's not strong. Why is that? That's how the energetic system resonates with those waveforms. And so then color, we can hear 20 to 20,000 cycles a second. So if you look at the electromagnetic frequency spectrum, which is 0 to 20 is extremely low frequency. Nikola Tesla wrote a lot about ELF. So then 20 to 20,000 is what we can hear. That's 10 octaves. So if you play, let's say, middle C 256 cycles a second. You go up an octave, it's 512. You double that, 1024. So frequency doubles as you go up an octave, goes in half as you go down an octave. So we hear 10 octaves, 20 to 20,000 cycles. Above that's ultrasound, and then radio waves, AM, FM, maritime, television, and then above that, 400 to 800 trillion cycles a second is the visible light spectrum. They're about 35 octaves apart, and they're mathematically harmonically related. So color has an audible component that's mathematically harmonically related. And the colors that you saw in that opening clip of Harmonies of Light, those are not random colors. It's not a random light show. When I play the note C, you get the color green. I play D, you get blue. G, you get red. Those are the mathematically related colors. It's simple math. You go to any encyclopedia, you'll see the center frequency of the color red. You'll see it of all the colors in the rainbow and the spectrum. Divide by 2, lowers it an octave, dot, 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 till you get down in the audible range. And then a lot of years of research and technology exploration was involved to create this one-of-a-kind system called Harmonies of Light. And we do live streams. How can I play music? I love to play music for people. And how can I bring this to people? As you can see, the last time I took some of the gear, about half of this stack here and the bass pedals, it's 3 hours to pack it up. And then you drive and you set up and you sound check and you do your show, and then you pack it up and you drive and you set it back in the studio.
Virtual.
It's that gig was in Tucson, and it was like 5 days of work. And with live streaming, I said, okay, I made the investment in 4 high-def cameras and an encoder. So what you see is 100% live. It's live spontaneous improvisation, which is based on the energy and essence and focus and intentionality of the people who are participating, whether it's live or in the future on replays. And, we've had thousands of people as I play here in the studio with Harmonies of Light. I play for about 45 to 50 minutes with the idea of how can we all remain connected? How can we be this unified field with a common sense of oneness? And how can, what's the most important thing? So that's a question I want to ask people, is I really don't have a lot of answers. I have more questions than I have answers. And
Jim,
most important question is,
Jim,
what do you want?
Yes.
Jim. Now, this is the guy who at the beginning of this said, I don't think I have much to say. This is the same guy.
I really don't.
Okay. No, clearly there's nothing on your mind.
This is my language.
So it's see now. People who know Tracy and I know that we're fascinated with all of this. We're way into frequency healing. We have all kinds of stuff. So we have stuff to talk about with you for sure.
Absolutely.
But I want to
Lounge, yes, Jane.
I want people. They came here to hear this music. So.
Yes.
This is what we're going to do.
Go.
So I'm going to play this next couple of clips. We'll come back, talk a little bit more about what you're doing, and then how people can kind of more just find you and all that, and then we'll do 2 more, and then we'll everybody will be clamoring to hear more.
So to set up this next little bit, the reason I mentioned the waveforms is there's a nice graphic at the beginning of the second clip, which is from one of the live streams, initiating action from higher frequencies, and then it's going to piggyback into Solstice live stream. But you're going to see what I was talking about of the pictures of the waveforms, and you're going to see on the oscilloscope one of the most important things is bass is a carrier wave for high frequencies. So let her rip. I'm
going to let her rip. All right, here we go.
Basically, there's 4 elements of sound waves, waveforms. The first one is a triangle wave, and it's shaped as you would expect. It looks just like a triangle. And if we were to filter that a little bit, round off the peaks, then we get a sine wave. And a sine wave looks like an S on its side. Instruments like a flute, if you play a flute into an oscilloscope, and we just happen to have an oscilloscope there, I'm going to show you a really interesting part of sound and frequency in a minute. When we add the high frequency sound, to the low frequency sound, it actually tracks along the low frequency sound. The bass acts as a carrier wave for the high frequency.
We could keep going and going and going and going. I'm sorry that is so abrupt when it ends like that. That's just harsh, and I apologize. Jim, that stuff is so...
It's
Well,
magical.
There's a fade out at the end of the clip, so if you
I
let
know,
the clip
that's-
run, it'll fade.
Yeah, I
But
know.
I know we got time.
That's right. Yeah, so anyway, that stuff is just so great.
Chills. Oh, Jane was saying that this is really her kind of music. This is so everybody's kind of music.
Yes, so very happy I was up for this one. It is fascinating, really interesting information about the music, which we want to continue that conversation.
Right.
So let's continue how people can avail themselves more of what you do, the music. Can they buy CDs? How do they, again, with the live streams, just sort of what can they expect and all of that, like what you're currently up to and offering.
Sure. As is life, it's a work in progress. And as I mentioned, I started piano when I was 5 and then got into doing transformational music in the early 80s. And all with the interest and passion of how can I help people help themselves through music, sound, color. And as we were leading into this, the question is, what do you want? What is most important to you? And everything that I've shared and will share is based on my own personal experience. So we're all learning things. Life brings us lessons and experiences. So those that information becomes knowledge, and then knowledge becomes wisdom through direct experience. And the whole idea is, what's the most important thing? One a common phrase: raising consciousness, awakening, awareness. And for me, the most important thing is to offer an opening to an avenue for people to awaken authentically to their true nature. That is really, from there, everything else falls into place. But when you receive yourself, the divine essence that you already are, there's nothing that has to be fixed or found or sought or would have, should have, could have, any of that stuff. It's already there, your soul path. And music is an ideal way to open, because it creates movement and flow. The vibration, as you saw in the video, that's called cymatics.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured out a way, my son and I figured out a way how, that's live cymatics. So as we do the Harmonies of Light events, those waveforms that you see in that pan of water, those are actual waveforms of the bass notes that I'm playing and the colors related to that. So in the early days of the muscle testing, in a process I called symphonics, specific frequencies and waveforms for specific ailments, to just say, okay, you play this sound, how does it help an acupuncture point open and communicate and connect? We're all really like string art from the old days in the 70s, where you take all these nails and you put string on it and you wind it together and you have a picture. We're really that. All these acupuncture points, the distance between the points is a tone, it's a note, it's a pitch, it's a frequency. And when energy gets stuck or stagnant, acupuncturist will use a needle to connect those points. I use music. It's accessible. You can play it in the old days in a Walkman, and then a Discman, and then now on your telephone. Open and flow. Think of like a stream with maybe a leaf caught on a twig in the stream. Well, the ripples of the water just ripple and gently, and next thing you know, the leaf is moving on. A little bit of turbulence is not a bad thing. Turbulence actually creates movement and flow. I was going to try to demonstrate for you, but you guys can do this at home. Take a pad and put, well, let's see, if I have a quarter here, maybe this will actually work.
Now, boys and girls, now's your opportunity to get a pad and a quarter.
So you take a quarter, you put it on the pad, and you can tilt the pad, and the quarter doesn't move, right? Now, but you sit here and tap the pad, and there goes the quarter. Movement. You stop the tapping, the quarter stays put. You do the tapping, and the quarter moves. It releases some of that surface tension. Music engages the emotions. The 5 primary senses of sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. Hearing is the fastest. The fastest communication to the brain is hearing. And I notice myself and a lot of people, when I listen to music, I close my eyes, because that actually allows more of the brain to hear. It takes away the processing of your eyes are busy
Interesting.
doing.
Frees up
Whatever.
some CPU.
Yeah. It increases your bandwidth.
Yeah.
So that's what this is about. Is how can I create a safe and peaceful environment for people to connect with their true nature. Some of the popular words and phrases: harmony and balance. Overused but understated. It's so important to be in harmony with your environment. When things get tense and chaotic and hectic, get out in nature, go for a walk, just get outside and look at the clouds, or a tree, or if you can't get out, or you're in a big city, or you're in an apartment and and you can't get out, put on the nature channel, get some videos of nature, energetically connect. It does wonders. And,
Yeah.
and breathe, just simple things. Meditate.
Write that down.
It's a
Breathe.
practice.
Breathe. I always forget that one.
Breathe. Oh,
Okay,
sure.
yeah,
Breathe.
write that down.
It's a practice. And
You're not
speaking
writing.
of practice,
I'm going to forget.
All of this stuff, I estimated, I don't know why I was curious, but I estimated that somewhere over the course of my life, I played around 70,000 hours of music.
Oh my
You know,
gosh.
practicing 3 hours a day
Sure.
for decades and decades and decades. I majored in classical organ. There were times that I'd play, 4 or 5 masses at church, go home, have lunch, practice in the afternoon, go play 2 masses at night, go home and have supper and practice until 2 in the morning, get up, be there at church at 6 in the morning, classical organ major, big time stuff. Boy,
That's how you get good, boys and
very
girls.
intense.
Wow.
And years and years and years and years and years of that, tens and tens of thousands of hours. It's a practice, as meditation is a practice, and connecting with yourself is a practice. And I just invite everybody to make that commitment to yourself, to have that practice, to give yourself that time, give yourself the time to be with yourself and use
Self-care.
your own intuition. Your intuition is your inner compass. It's your inner pendulum. Is this good? Yes. Is this not what I would be doing? No. And you'll find energetically, you ask that question, should I go to the park today or should I go to work today? Oh, the park, yeah. So just connect with yourself and enjoy yourself.
Well, let's let them hear some more of the
Yes.
music. Is there any quick setup that you need for these last two? And I hope I've got them in the right order. But
The first one is Reverence for the Light You Are. And the second one is The Healing Power of Love. And love is all there is. It's all that matters. Ultimately, it's the vessel.
Yeah.
Love is where it's at. And everything else is a path to love. And most importantly is self-love. We all have our trials and tribulations, and life has brought us all kinds of things that we perhaps beat ourselves up over and wished I did this instead of that. And we're all in this together. Nobody rides for free. We all are grasping for the ring, and sometimes you fall off and you get back up. And be good to yourself, be kind to yourself, be compassionate to yourself. That's really where it's at.
well, let's
Music-
Jim. Let's let them hear.
Unravel that old programming. Just let go of it. It doesn't serve you. It's not healthy. And let go of all that and all the entanglements, and just give yourself the freedom.
Starting
perfect.
right now with the music that we're going to listen to. All right, here we go. Jim Oliver, one more time.
Yay. beautiful visually too, just to watch. It's just it's lovely.
Jim, this is amazing stuff, and I know everybody. I mean, I'm looking at the comments.
comments
Everybody's
are-
just clamoring and clamoring. So this is great stuff. So we've got the link that we've shared in the description and on the screen. We totally urge you guys to seek him out. Jim, how do they find your live streams again?
You can go to my website, which is jimolivermusic.com. And we have, a shopping page, and there's a Harmonies of Light tab. And what you'll see when you click on that is actually our previous event. I haven't posted the new event. The next one is going to be in early August. On the bottom of the home page is a sign-up box that if you register, we will keep you updated as to when we're doing the next Harmonies of Light, and you'll also receive a wonderful free piece of music that's about 20 minutes long called Deep Calm. And I think everybody will enjoy some deep calm.
I love it.
Especially now.
No matter what's
is-
going on.
Yeah.
So that's the way that you can do. Sign up on the website. Go to jimolivermusic.com. We have CDs, MP3s, DVDs, and the Harmonies of Light live streams to offer you.
Well, Jim, thank you
Thank
so
you
much for
so
sharing
much,
your
sweetheart.
expertise
I'm
and your
so
music with us this
grateful.
morning.
This
Have an
was-
awesome,
Thank you, thank
an
you,
awesome,
thank you,
awesome
thank
day.
you,
Ladies
thank
and
you,
gentlemen,
thank
Mr.
you.
Jim
Oh
Oliver.
my God, I'm so happy. Thank you so much.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we did it again. We over-delivered. I promise you. Whatever you were expecting, we gave you at least 10, 20, 30 times more. If you agree, type 1 for yes, type 2 for
What?
yes.
Yes, yes.
So tomorrow,
yes.
of course, is Tech Tuesday.
Tech Tuesday.
So,
We love
you
Tech
know,
Tuesday. It might be techie.
you know how that goes. Be there.
Awesome. We love you guys. Thank you so much, Jim. Again, fantastic.
Aloha
So-
Bokum Dano.
Oh, lo, lo, lo. Mwah. Love you guys. Have a good day.